Hey everyone, so this is going to be kind of a different video. I've had quite a few people ask me to talk about us doing IVF, and so if you're only here for like makeup or something, or that's not something that interests you, then not the video to watch. But I have had a couple people send me messages, like personal messages and comments and stuff like that, saying they would like me to talk about it. I think that a lot of times people want to hear the stories because I don't think a lot of people do talk about it. I think it's something that a lot of people are still fairly ashamed about for some reason, or they just don't feel like it's somebody else's business, or they don't want to talk about it for whatever reason. I'm part of some support groups, so I meet people that are all types of different ways about it. So a little background on us. I am 26. My husband is 27, so we have been together since we were 16. We were 6 months apart, so we were both 16 when we got together. We have an almost 10-year-old son, so we've been together almost 11 years, and our son's almost 10. He was conceived completely natural, very easily. We were teenagers, so it was not on purpose, and you know, everything like that. I did have a really bad pregnancy and delivery and stuff with him. Had a lot of problems, but nothing that would have signaled that we should have had, I guess, long-term issues. When he was about 4, 3.5, 4, we decided we wanted another baby, and it just never happened. And even before that, we didn't do anything to really stop it from happening once we turned 18. So, you know, it just didn't happen. Once we started trying, really trying, it still didn't happen. And there was really no reason for it. Basically, we didn't have insurance coverage that would really pay for much, so we went and got basic testing. And as far as the basic testing was concerned, there was no reason. It was just unexplained secondary infertility, which basically means secondary is when two people have already had a child together, but they can't conceive again. So it was unexplained, which basically just means they have no idea what to tell you. They can't help you with it. So, you know, we just, after about, I guess it was about almost 7 years of actively trying, I got my new job. I'm a correctional officer here in Baltimore. And so we got good insurance. State insurance is the best insurance, and they would cover IVF. So I went to Shady Grove Fertility, which is one of the top in the country. I'm not sure how their prices compare to other people's prices, but they do have really good results, so that's why we chose to go to them. I'm opening up my book here to show you, get ready to show you. So I went to them. I did a bunch of tests. The beginning of the process is very intensive. For the men, it's a simple sperm analysis, which they drop off a sample, they analyze it. It's very simple. For the women, there's a lot more involved. You have a lot of tests, a lot of pap smear type tests, a lot of pap smear plus other thing type tests like sonograms. Sometimes you can do a laboscopy, which is where they put you to sleep and they look through your tubes with a microscope kind of thing. It is a very invasive thing to go through, so I know that a lot of women are kind of hesitant about it. It is a lot, and you know, if you don't have insurance coverage, it's very expensive. It can be upward of $25,000 a cycle sometimes. You can get into shared risk programs and stuff where you get multiple tries for that price, but then you still have to pay for your medication, which can run you between $4,000 and $6,000 a month. I was very lucky. My insurance paid basically everything except co-pays. By the end of it, for one cycle with all of the testing, my copay was around $3,000, and then the medication copay was about $500. So we put out about $3,500, but that's way less than anybody usually pays. So the first thing is, once you decide to do IVF, because there's other options, but if you decide you have to do the IVF, that's what your doctor decides, you will go to a couple classes. They will basically give you a schedule, tell you what to do. You'll do an injections class. So basically the first thing you do is you take birth control for about 5 weeks. and that's just to basically make your body a blank slate for the medication. Then once you're doing that, you will start your medication, and I took pictures. This is like my pregnancy journal, but this is the medication, my medication. Everybody can be on different medication. It just depends. So for me, this was mine. Each one of these boxes, these big boxes, had like 5 tubes of medicine, and each one of these boxes had 5 tubes, and then each one of these right here was an individual needle. This was my trigger shot. So I'll explain. So basically, you'll start off how they tell you. I started off with these, with the Menopur and the Gonalef. So I started off doing 2 injections a day for the first 3 days. Then I went up to 3 injections a day, and I just did 1 of the Gonalef and 2 of the Menopur every day. This is called Endometrium. This is something you're going to use later on. So basically, I did my injections. Then towards the end, I added these right here into it. You also have to get daily to every other day blood draws, depending on what your doctor wants. So you're looking at 3 to 4 injections a day in your stomach. For me, mine were in my stomach. The needle was about that long. It was not big. But you're looking at about 3 to 4 a day plus a blood draw. So if you're somebody who is giving yourself 4 injections plus a blood draw, you're looking at about 5 needles a day, which can be hard for some people. Other people actually have to give themselves injections in their butt every single day, and those, from what I understand, I didn't have to do them. They're oil-based, and they're worse. So, you know, after your doctor decides that you've reached the level that they want you to, they're going to monitor they're going to do sonograms and stuff to count your eggs and see how many you've made. When they decide that you're ready, this is your trigger shot. Well, this was mine. There is another version. And this is in your butt. And so you give yourself this about 2 days before an egg retrieval. What that is once you're ready, you're going to go in, and they are going to take out all the eggs that you made. A normal woman makes 1 a month. I made 20 during our cycle. Some people make more. I've seen people make 28, 30. Some people don't make them, don't respond as well. It just depends. Basically, you go under sedation. They put you to sleep. They go in, they take out all the eggs. You wake up. You feel very bloated and sore. They suggest you drink Gatorade. I highly recommend it so you don't end up with overswelling, like too much swelling, because if you get too swollen and get too much fluid, they can't put the eggs back. So what they'll do at that point is they'll take your eggs, and your partner will donate their sperm sample. They'll put them together. For most couples, they'll just put them in a dish together and let them do their thing. For others, they will actually take the sperm and put it inside of the egg, so if it's a sperm issue. For us, I had 20 eggs. They just put them together and let them do their thing because my husband had no issues that they could find, and only 3 of our eggs fertilized out of all 20. So when they told me that, I was really devastated. I really thought we weren't going to have any to transfer back, because a lot of times they'll die off. They won't, the embryos won't survive. But the 3 did. They grew. They did survive. I did a day 3 transfer. They try to go to a day 5, which means the eggs have been growing for 5 days. The embryo has been growing for 5 days. But since we only had 3 eggs, they didn't want to risk them dying. So we did the 3-day transfer. And when I went in, the transfer is even easier. They just literally take and use like a little catheter, and they put the embryos back in your uterus. They put the formed embryo back into your uterus. It's already fertilized, all of that. So basically, all the embryo has to do is attach to your uterus for you to get pregnant. Now, this endometrium right here, these are suppositories, so they're just like vaginal inserts that you have to use 3 times a day from the time you do your egg retrieval all the way up to your pregnancy test, and they're gross. They're gross, but they don't hurt or anything. They're just uncomfortable, like feeling. But that's how you make your uterus thicker. And then up here, there's some other pills, some other stuff. Baby aspirin was one thing. Then there was some other medications that you take to kind of trick your body into thinking you're pregnant so it'll hold on to the baby. When I went in, the doctor basically said, you know, if this doesn't work, we'll talk about why the eggs didn't fertilize and what we can do about it, blah, blah, blah. I really didn't think it was going to work. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I really didn't think it was going to work the first time, which is really upsetting when you go through so many needles and so much, like, it's very uncomfortable. You're miserable most of the time. Your hormones are all over the place because they're pumping your body full of hormones. You figure if you're supposed to make 1 egg and you make 20, how much hormones they're putting in your body. They tell you not to test early. If you do a trigger shot, you have to be careful because sometimes it can be a false positive. So most of us people, what we'll do is we'll take a couple tests and get a negative, because you'll get a positive right after they put them back because of that trigger shot. So you wait till you get your negative, then once you get a negative, then you wait a day or two and you can start testing for a real positive. It's a little confusing. I got my real positive 7 days past 3-day transfer, which basically means would be a regular woman's 10 days past ovulation, the equivalent, which I took tests of my obsessiveness. So you see it got darker, and then we got our blood test at 12 days past, which confirmed that I was in fact pregnant. You still have to use the endometrium, which is the vaginal inserts and stuff, and you have to keep using those till you're 8 weeks. When you do IVF, the first thing they do is when you're 5 weeks pregnant, they do a sonogram to see how many babies you're having. So because people put more than 1 egg back, like we put 2 back, but only 1 stuck, and we were having 1 baby. You can't really see a baby, you can just see a sac. And that's what they're looking for. At the second appointment, this is at like 6 weeks, and this is what the baby looks like at 6 weeks, and they're just looking to see that it was working. Checking to make sure I'm still recording. That it's growing. Then your last appointment, at least with Shady Grove, is at about 8 weeks, and at the 6 weeks one, you should hear a heartbeat also. At the 8 weeks, you're just checking to make sure the heartbeat's still there and that the baby's growing. And this is crazy, but this is what the baby looked like at 8 weeks. It looked like a little gummy bear. It was awesome. And then you graduate from Shady Grove, they call it graduating, which basically means that you're no longer in fertility treatments and you get to go to your regular normal OB for most people. Once you reach that point, it will proceed like a normal pregnancy. If you're older or you have other issues, then you're high risk, but doing IVF alone does not make the pregnancy high risk. Once you get into the actual pregnancy, it usually proceeds as normal. So that's the basics of how it works. I'm 25 weeks now, so I'm officially in my 2nd trimester. This was the baby at 12 weeks for anybody who's interested in seeing what a baby looks like at 12 weeks. This is 12 weeks. And then that was at the genetic testing. This is 16. He wouldn't show us his face, but that's a 3D of like his body and stuff when we found out we were having a boy. But he wouldn't show us his face. That was 16 weeks. And then at 18 weeks, we did like the anatomy, like the measurements and stuff. And that's what he looked like then. So yeah. And we will be doing the 3D one in a couple weeks. So if you have any questions at all, leave them below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching, guys.